have to wait for you to come into shot, don't I?
Yeah, well, I'll be editing this.
Oh, you will be?
Yeah.
All
Right. Oh, no. I was doing a lesson then.
right then.
Right, everybody. Come on, you at the back. Hello, welcome to this video. On this video, I'm going to be going through yet again 10 more bands that I can't stick. I'm going to call this video 10 bands I can't stick because it's slightly different to the last time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the last ones, I've had 10 bands I thought were overrated, and now I've got 10 bands I can't stick. And then I might next month do 10 bands that are total rubbish. Total rubbish will be key.
Or 10 bands you just detest.
I detest, yes.
Yeah.
So, but these are the ones I can't stick. And in some cases, these bands are actually quite good bands, you see. It's that I'm not going to be criticising some of these because they're bad. In fact, I think what I've got at number one is a very, very good band, but I absolutely can't stick them. So do you understand the premise of this video? And to make it a little bit different from what we have done before, is I've got Rob here to bounce off, because he doesn't know the bands I'm going to do. Now, he might like some of these bands, and then you'll have the thing where he goes, well, I quite like that band, and then I will just talk over him and say, no, they're a load of rubbish. So that's basically the structure for this video.
And it probably goes without saying is that if you don't like them, I probably do.
Yeah, because you like more sort of wimpy songwritery stuff.
Yeah, yes, yeah, blah, blah.
Right, so, and some of them you might not know as well.
Yeah, that's also the thing, because
you're younger than me, aren't you? So there's some bands that are really, like, there's certain bands on this list I look, I thought they're massive bands to me, but I thought Rob probably doesn't know.
May not have even heard of them yet.
Or you'll have heard of them, but you might go, I don't know much about them.
All
right, shall we start off? So number 10, I have got a band which is in the progressive rock genre, which I feel like I should like. They do all the right things, but for some reason, I really find them turgid and depressing and boring. And that is the progressive rock band Tool. Okay. Now, Tool, for me, Danny Carey's a great drummer, right? They've got all those riffs going on. I took a deep dive into Tool a few months ago, and I felt the first few albums were better than the famous album, which is called Lateralus. But the only album I own is Lateralus, which is supposed to be their classic album. And I just find them really boring. Now, the other day, some drummer, that bloke who's got the beard, who's a brilliant drummer that comes from Spain or somewhere. You know, it's Esperanza, is he called?
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube drummer, yeah. You know,
I can't remember.
El Esperanza or whatever. He decided...
The really,
he can
really
do
mad
ridiculous.
fast.
Yeah, like, you know the one. He did a reaction to Pneuma by Tool, and everyone's going to ask him to make a pop port, and he goes, oh, it's like a mathematical equation. It's like 6 8 2 8 5 8 6 8 6 8 5 8. It's nothing, and it's boring. And he goes on and plays all the way through it, and he's got a few like Simmons pads on there, doing a few tabla sounds, really bad general MIDI tabla sounds. You know what I mean?
Have you just angered the gods of Tool?
I think so. That was terrifying, wasn't it?
I mean, just calm it down for the rest of it.
I don't even know what made that sound.
It was a symbol moving.
Symbols don't move.
I can't see what. Oh.
It's because I mentioned Mike Portnoy.
This hasn't happened to me on one of your videos, but this happens to you more often.
Oh, you're happy now, aren't you?
No, I don't think I am. And now I'm a target for the spirits of whatever is attacking you. I don't like it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, all right.
Nothing happens really. So, what do you think of Tool?
Well, now I want to say I really like him. No, I don't know many Tool things. I think for me, the stuff that essentially you said about the you prefer the early stuff, and when we were teachers, we'd have students that come in with massive Tool fans, and they were always talking about earlier albums. Rather than the newer ones. I don't think I've heard anything from Tool that I dislike.
I don't like. But you have heard them, though.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So name a song by them.
I couldn't tell you a song by them. Not at all.
Could you? Numa. I know that one.
But I know it's like it's so well played. It's tight as hell, but it's not really my cup of tea. That's sort of it's more in the metal
Don't you think
side of things, isn't it? Where it's,
I mean, this is going to be a theme as we go through this. Okay. There is a sort of whingy metal genre that middle class kids like because they can sit and go, "No, it's so bad." It's like a mixture of metal and emo gothy music. You put all that together and you get this sort of like, oh, everything's terrible, and my mum and dad are rich, and I don't want to be rich, I want to be, and all that bit that you get. You'll see this is a theme on this one, and I find that really annoying, that type of music. Tool is like the prog version of that, so it's like it never gets out of first gear, and it's just so moany. And these blokes are like in their 60s now. So when they come out being all dark and doomy, I'm thinking, oh, come on, chaps, don't do it anymore. I don't know. It's like, well, I mean, that lead singer bloke, I don't like him.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Maynard something or other. I really don't know. But when you don't like something, all my friends like them now. I've been on tour and everyone goes, oh, you'll like Tool, Andy. And they stick the Tool on the car and you play it. And at one point I thought, I've got to get my head around this. So I actually, went and bought Lateralus and listened to it over and over again. And you've just loads of tribal drums and then this really turgid, never-ending, depressing sort of they never get out of second gear. So Tool, I don't like them much. I think they're rubbish.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just don't. It's never going to be something. It was never ever going to be something that I would be like.
You're not really a progger in that. I mean,
no.
Classic prog bands, you don't really listen to, do you?
Yeah, the thing. If I was going to listen to something like that, it would be more on the. It would actually be more on the sort of heavier rock kind of band kind of thing. But
so, who's your favourite prog band?
My favourite prog band
that you actually listen to.
Proper prog and not like.
Remember, this bloke's made prog albums on prog labels. And he plays in prog bands, right? This is the truth of what you've got going on in this genre. So, who's your favourite prog band, Rob? Go on.
Of any prog artists that I probably listen to more, it would probably be somebody like Peter Gabriel. It would be the latest stuff, which is much more songwriting.
Okay. So, what albums have you got by Peter Gabriel?
I haven't got any Peter.
Oh, so
I don't have albums. I don't.
So, which album's your favourite Peter Gabriel album?
What's got Salisbury Hill on it? That's Salisbury Hill. Like Salisbury Hill.
My audience at the moment.
They're all going to be. Yeah, I know they're going to be. I'm feeling the heat, but like
they're massing.
I was never really. This is the thing.
Don't even talk anymore because they're massing now.
This is the thing because I was never brought up on it.
We hate Rob.
That's sounding a bit like Barry Muggle, that isn't it?
Yeah, that's because Barry Muggle's a progressive rock fan. They don't have pitchforks. They'll be getting all their bloody, toner out.
Okay, no, I will say. Okay, I do. I own.
You made a massive error.
I own Doc because I own Doc.
I don't even know what album Salisbury Hill's on.
Yeah, it's called Salisbury. Is it called
Salisbury?
No. Oh, okay.
All the Peter Gabriel albums are just called Peter Gabriel.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, everybody except for up to but before so you could have just gone. If you'd known,
I don't know.
If you'd have known that basic fact, you go, it's on Peter, but they're named after the covers.
I do own Darkside, though, to be fair. But then I don't think you have to be a prog fan to own Darkside because everybody owns Darkside.
People's nans own Darkside.
Yeah, I probably got it from my nan. Probably. I don't think my nan was a prog fan. Yeah. But you see, and then
well, there's no prog on here, so
like
you've got to worry.
OK Computer.
It's not prog.
That's a prog. We've talked about this. It's absolutely a prog album. But
but you're scraping the barrel.
But we're going to disagree on this.
Scraping the barrel. But there is one prog band that you haven't mentioned, and I've just put on the list because I can't stick them. Remember, I had that gap there, and I was going to stick in. What was I going to put in there? Nickelback. Nickelback's low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
everyone's going to go, we don't like Nickelback as well. I actually like Nickelback. I'm such a contrarian. I like Nickelback now. I'm going to do Nickelback's the best band in the world. I'm going to do a video on it.
Do it.
And explain it because they're not that bad, are they? They're just a straight down line rock band.
Again, well, I said to you that before we started this video, I said that the thing is with me contributing to this is I don't dislike many bands. I don't really dislike a lot of music. There's music that I just wouldn't buy, and there's music I'd turn off, but not like, oh, I hate You know, I hate.
You see, this is what this video is really going to about. You're going to be able to see me being able to hate things at the drop of a hat, or like them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. But you aren't like this because you're much more touchy-feely, aren't you? And
I'm
you
more
just like
Switzerland
everything.
with
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting.
Is it?
Well, because I've got
We shall see.
what I've got to do is I've got to bring the hate out in you, and you've got to bring out the touchy-feely in me. Ooh. Right, so at number 9, I've got Foreigner.
I couldn't tell you much about Foreigner either, to be honest.
Right, so Foreigner, towards the end of the late 70s, rock music started to get more and more blanded out. You had Boston come out with their album Boston, More Than a Feeling, you know. You had Journey going from sort of jazzy prog over to sort of a middle of the road rock. Toto emerged. Now, I like Toto and I like Journey. Boston are okay. But Foreigner, they then come in and they're like one up from REO Speedwagon, who I absolutely hate. Right, but
You
Foreigner,
talked about REO Speedwagon.
REO Speedwagon are just, I mean, it's harder to explain why Foreigner are so bad, but I will explain to you why they're bad, and then you can see whether you hate them.
What's the big Foreigner song?
Right, I'm going to tell you a story about, so
Right.
one of their most famous songs is called I've Been Waiting for a Girl Like You, and it goes like this. I've been waiting for a girl like you.
Yeah.
To come into my life. Now, their lead singer is called Lou Gam, I think. Is it Lou Gam? Or is that the guitarist?
It is now.
Anyway, the lead singer. Bloody hell, my laptop.
That's going to help.
There we go.
did.
Right, so Lou Gam is in there about to make their biggest hit, right?
Yeah.
This is the story that they tell. Right, and this story is supposed to make you be impressed by Foreigner, but it sums everything up why they're awful. Right, so he's in the studio and they're about to do their biggest hit and he's not inspired. And he's like, oh God, man, I can't do it today. I just cannot get into this song. And then the rest of the guys are going, come on, Lou, you can do it. You can do it. If only you had some sort of inspiration. Then Lou goes, but I haven't got any inspiration. I just feel like I've got no inspiration at all. Well, what are we going to do? And then at that moment, the doors of the studio opened and in walked an absolutely beautiful lady. And the beautiful lady came across the studio being all beautiful and sexy. And she sat down in front of Lou Gam. And when he saw her, he suddenly was filled with a feeling of probably a mixture of awe in her beauty and maybe some lust in his loins. And then he sang the song looking into her eyes. So when you hear him going, I've been waiting, he literally had been waiting for a girl. And she came in, and there she came into his life. And nobody knows who this woman was or is.
Or if this was ever true.
They say it's true.
Well,
That's the story. Now, I think what actually happened was more like this, if I act it out, is Lou was like this, I can't do it, man. I just don't feel it today, and I'm not feeling it. Well, you gotta make it, you gotta do it, because we need a massive hit record. Well, I don't feel it, and I don't want it, and I just need some beautiful girl. And then he says to one of the roadies, go and get me a beautiful girl like this. And they go out into the street, you know, and they walk around. They find someone who's relatively fit. They said, do you want to come up and be sung at by Lou Gam? And they went, oh, no, that hairy one out of Florida. Oh, come on, we'll give you $100. Okay, then. So they came, they brought them up and they sat there. And they probably didn't look like a vision of beauty. They more looked like somebody out of the back of a David Lee Roth video. That's what I imagine was the real truth.
I mean, that does sound more feasible, to be fair.
But what do you think to a singer that demands that he has to have a beautiful lady? I mean, I don't want any Swiss Tony references here because I've walked straight into it, haven't I?
Yeah, but at least you haven't changed your profile on YouTube to look like. Oh no! Oh, you have.
Yeah. Because even I find it funny, to be honest. Did you notice that then?
I did. Yeah. Well, no, I noticed it because I saw a comment where somebody said, "Oh, new." They said,
where's
new
your phone,
picture.
Rob?
My phone.
Photograph my list.
Is your battery about to go?
Yes, and if it
God.
goes, we're in trouble.
Oh God, this is where we're at.
And I've still got a space because I'm deleting something else out there.
Oh, I don't. I'm not. I'm not looking at them.
Just in case this runs out.
Oh,
That was
again.
You cannot believe this. It's just died, and that laptop hasn't died through the battery going out. It's because I've got a dodgy fan. Do you think this works?
No, that looks like you're trying to play it as a wind instrument. Oh.
Oh, that worked. Did you hear that then?
That did something.
It was this up at this end. If this works, I can clip this and get millions of views and go, how to fix
This
a
is how
fan
to
on
fix it. Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to. It's getting stuck. I don't think it will.
Yeah, I've run out of power now.
You have run out of power. Well, the thing's there anyway. So.
And I've still got space. I haven't done this properly. Right, at number 9, I have one of the most awful bands in British history. Right, absolutely awful. Right, now, Chumbawamba, I don't like them, but it's not them. They're worse than Chumbawamba. Right, then you've got New Model Army. I don't like them either. I don't like them. I don't like lefty, folky types who have to play at festivals and jump around with slightly dreadlocky hairs, bumping into each other, and then they're saying, oh, excuse me, Tarquin, and then getting on with their left-wing socialist dirty rock. And you know who the peak is for this? And I bloody do hate this band. They sound horrible. It's the Levellers. I hate the Levellers. What a terrible band. Bloody rubbish. All with them, there's no group, there's no like dirt. New Model Army sound like there's a bit of aggression there to go. And the Pogues don't quite like the Pogues. They're in the same bracket. Right at the bottom, there's dire straits of dirty posh boy rock. Is the Levellers. What do you think to them, Rob?
You know what I think to them because we've talked about this before. I'm actually a really big Levellers fan.
How can you be a fan of such a band?
I've been because it's not about the message. You talk about the message. You talk about what. But for me, I've always loved the music. I've loved it.
How can you love this open chord nonsense?
Because that's literally like what I.
But I
when I
don't
started
get it.
writing music, that was what I was doing. I was doing folk.
Have you got a Levellers
Folk
type
stuff.
song that you can sing for us?
Have I got one of my own or?
Yeah.
What? No,
you just said
because I don't do it anymore.
Oh, you
But-
don't? Why did you give up?
Because you ended up getting me into prog. That's why.
You're not into prog. Not being able to name a Peter Gabriel
no.
album does not make you into prog.
So,
Writing Levellers
yeah, but
songs.
I can name you loads of Levellers albums.
Go on, name me some songs.
Weapon called songs or albums.
Either, I just want to get the
Weapon called the
rubbish
word,
titles
level
they've
in the
got.
land.
Say it again.
A weapon called the word, level in the
A
land.
weapon. What word is this?
Zeitgeist.
What's worth this? What is the word that's the weapon? With the Levellers. Tell me, go on. See, Rob's up close to my hate. Then he looked at me and go, my God, Andy really is angry.
That's about propaganda, isn't it? That's what that is. A weapon called the word.
What propaganda?
What do you mean, what propaganda? As in propaganda itself is a weapon of words.
It's a political left.
It is very possible. No, the thing is, it's like because
who's the lead singer? That's the only one I can picture.
Mark Chadwick.
Mark Chadwick.
I
bet he's old now, isn't he? And he's
they're old.
I bet he's sat in his stately home, isn't he?
No, see, well, it's the bassist. Is the one who's actually he's actually a lord. He genuinely is.
Joking.
And they do a festival which we used to go to years ago before we had kids.
You're getting some Levellers facts anyway.
And it's down in Cornwall, Devon, Cornwall, near Exeter. Is that Cornwall or Devon?
Exeter's in down south.
Yeah, West Country anyway. And I think it's actually in his like estate. That's where it's done. But they're all. I mean, I know how you feel about this, but they're all this sort of anarchist, leftist sort of.
What is it with the British poshies that they have to try? I mean, the Americans do it again. That's what Rage Against the Machine are, but. In England, It's on up at another level. They're so unbelievably posh, the people who do this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know how posh they really actually are.
The Levellers, right. What are they named after?
Well, they're named after a movement in an army in the English Civil War, aren't they?
Yeah, so why Oasis are named after an army in the Civil War? I'll tell you why. Because they went to a normal comprehensive school. I wasn't taught about this sort of thing. Right, whereas the Levellers know about the levels. Like New Model Army, they only know about these things because they got taught it at their private schools.
Yes, probably.
Right, now the thing is, musically, from what I can remember, because I haven't heard it for a long time, it's really sort of bland, acoustic, guitar-y sort of... It's just not very good.
I need to educate you. I shall.
I won't be educated on this. You're not going to educate me.
But also, you'll like this fact as well. well, as in like it but hate it,
Yeah.
is that they've got a keyboard player now. They would have had a keyboard player for a long time, and that
Made out of gold.
no, the keyboard player was the
President of Israel.
was the actor who played one of the sons in Birds of a Feather. I'm not even making that up. Remember Birds of a Feather, the English sitcom, which your international viewers will not know.
The ones where they all walk around doing Cockney accents, pretending they're working class. And then one of those working class boys was played by Posh Boy Leveller.
Yes, but he wasn't in the Levelers then. But yeah,
No.
he's now the keyboard. That's brilliant. Yeah, I like the Levelers. I'm not even ashamed.
So he wasn't in the original Levelers. He's joined now.
Yeah.
So when what happened to the original keyboard?
There was no they didn't have a keyboard player.
Oh, so they looked around for a keyboard player.
And he's probably the one.
And why was that the case? Because
I don't
tell
know.
you something, out of my friends, I'll tell you how many of them have also played in sitcoms on television. Of all my friends, right? The answer is none. You know why? Because I'm normal. And I don't have friends that get jobs as child actors in British sitcoms because they're poshies. You know, that's the bottom line.
I mean, how different is that to you having one of your keyboard friends go onto his mate's YouTube channel and embarrass himself by telling the world that he likes the Levelers when you don't? Because that's me.
You're a
That's
Nepo
me.
baby.
That's the other
You're
way.
a Nepo
Yeah,
baby.
come on.
You are it. Nepo baby. It's just you've never achieved anything with the Nepo babiness. You know? And even I've got your chair now.
I know, yeah. It's just stories.
They're all going to get upset, aren't they? They're going to go, you're being too
mean to
You're being too nasty to your friend. Can you get your picture back on?
mean.
But this is what you
Just
come
be
for,
mean.
isn't it?
Oh.
Failed Nepo baby. I'm going to put that
Oh
on the
my
top.
God. That's the-
Rob failed Nepo baby Groucutt.
that should be my album. That should be my solo album.
This is like counselling for him, I tell you, but
Yeah.
it's the opposite of
a
counselling.
version therapy.
Right, so the number, it's actually at number, because I got my numbers wrong here. It's a number, the number that's before 9, 8.
Yeah.
No, at number 7, I've got Manic Street Preachers.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Now, Manic Street Preachers, I'll tell you what I honestly think about them. I think they write some good songs, right? They have written some quite good songs, okay? But I think they are very bland for a rock band. They have no guts. There's no dirt there. And there's no artsiness that radio would have. There's no attitude. There's no, like, it's all the worst stuff of indie rock without any of the darkness that you get with indie rock, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, some of those songs are nice, but they're nice in a really middle of the road type of way. Now, the thing is in the early days when they first started, they had Richie Edwards, and he was good because he gave them a bit of rock and roll edge, right? Richie Edwards did, as all great Edwards do.
The famous.
And if you don't know about Manic Street Preachers, one day Richie Edwards disappeared off the face of the earth, and they found his last belongings on that Severn Bridge, didn't they?
It was the Severn Bridge, yeah, where they found his car and his.
Yeah.
And yeah. And
So, but we don't know what happened to him. That's the most interesting thing about Manic Street Preachers. And then after he'd gone, it was one of those things that then they suddenly had loads of success with all this middle of the road pap. And I remember songs like If You Tolerate This,
Then Your Children Will Be Next.
Yeah. Now, what are they singing about there?
It's very political.
Why do they have to be? I don't like lefty posh boys. Now, I don't think they're poshies, are they? I'll give them that. They're not poshies. They're not like the Levelers. But I just think the music's so... I mean, I could have had Stereophonics here, but at least Stereophonics don't... They're not pretentious like Manic Street Preachers. Manic Street Preachers are, for me, pretentious. This really, if you examine it, this is pretty lame rock music.
It's very middle of the road, and it's... I did used to like them when I started getting into music properly, but it didn't last very long for me. Like it was like you say, nice songs, and you kind of You go, oh, I like that song, and you'd listen to it for a while, and then kind of quickly got bored of them. And then, I mean, I haven't heard any of the stuff for any of the later stuff. I presume are they still going?
Yeah, well, this is the thing is that you have periods where you get bands and all anybody talks about are these bands. You know, Manic Street Preachers like that.
I mean,
At one point, they were like
massive.
the massivest
Like
band in
when
the...
I went to the Phoenix Festival in '96, and it was that album, which I can't remember what was it called. Everything Must Go.
Yeah.
It was like that was massive.
Yeah.
Then at that time, it was like you couldn't move for seeing. So that was probably the peak.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the
was
biggest
huge,
thing,
yeah,
massive, and now because the truth is because the stuff just doesn't have the staying power of a Led Zeppelin or Beatles or even I don't know Guns N' Roses. There's no real songs like that have been able to
No.
And you feel like you're getting the wool pulled over your eyes. At the time in '96, how old was I then? I was like 28 years old, so I was right in the middle of doing music, making music, and everybody's saying you got to sound like that. And I just find that there's a whole host of bands from that time, and it's like the last gasp of band. They are a proper band. Then we get into Star Sailor, Travis, Coldplay,
got bored out of
and
that
now
sort of,
it's like you've got like Imagine Dragons is a band.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm imagining when I listen to them is the band. He laughed at that one.
Yeah.
You see, that's a proper joke.
Yeah, that's good. That was good.
Right, let's move on then.
Proper comedy.
But I felt like I got too serious then. Right, next one is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I cannot stick Tom Petty. Tom Petty, right? I don't want to be petty, but I'm going to be petty because I know everybody in the world likes Tom Petty except me. Now, I'll tell you something about Tom Petty, right? This is what Tom Petty is to me, right? He forms a band called the Heartbreakers, okay? They sign a record deal. He then turns around and says, you either stay in my band, because they suddenly decided, it wasn't his band, it was a band called the Heartbreakers, and he puts them on a pittance of a wage, right? That's what he does. That's what Tom Petty is. And then he writes a bunch of, again, middle of the road, okay songs. The songwriting's quite good. I can recognise a good song. But my point is I could go through a whole bunch of pop songs that are well-written pop songs. I mean, Spice Girls, Two Become One, I prefer that in its songwriting brilliance to anything that Tom Petty's done.
That Spice Girls album.
But then Tom Petty, I believe, joined the Travelling Wilburys, right? Now, the Travelling Wilburys, okay, are a crime against humanity. Because basically, Jeff Lynne, right, is in ELO, and I don't want to get you upset.
Yeah, you're baiting me into making some comments here.
Watch his face.
But I will.
Watch his face now as I tell this story, and he will go, yeah, I like Tom Petty, but I don't. You watch this.
No, because I will preempt you by saying I don't like Tom Petty. Actually,
you don't like Tom Petty? Oh, brilliant! That's someone else.
So I'll come into my feelings on it.
Right, so Tom Petty, think about it. Not very nice guy. Ripped off his band, not paid him any money. Then he's travelling along. Right, now Jeff Lynne is in ELO, right? He's in ELO, he's travelling along in ELO. And in ELO, a band, they got Bev Bevan, they got your dad, haven't they? Richard Tandy, who invented the shop where they sold all the cheap electric gear, that bloke. Or they're all there, going along like this, although it's really good, and they did a couple of good albums in the 1980s. And then Jeff thinks, I'm better than this. And so he crawls off to his mate, George Harrison, right? Because he's chummed up with him because he's in the Beatles. True, isn't it, right? And then George Harrison's here, Jeff's here. There's no two ways about it, isn't it?
At this point, yeah.
And they go, and he says, George Harrison, so why don't we form a band? And he goes, I'd be quite good, let's form a... And then he goes, I'm friends with Bob Dylan. No way. So they get Bob Dylan in. And then Bob Dylan says, I'm friends with bloody, what's his name? The blind one, Roy Orbison. And they get this ridiculous band in there, right? And Jeff's going, I can't believe this. I mean, having Bob Dylan, George Harrison, and Roy Orbison. It's like the best band in the whole bloody world, isn't it? I can't believe this. And then somehow Tom Petty gets in on it. I mean, how the hell's he getting there? Who's going to come in next? Who's going to be in next? Shaggy. Who's coming in? Because he did that with Sting, didn't he?
Yeah.
They tag. I mean, Jeff Lynne's a tagger on, right? And I was on the radio this morning. I hate to say this, Rob, but they said on the radio this morning, I hate to say this, they go, I can't wait to see ELO at Hyde Park in a few months. I thought, see ELO? You're not seeing ELO, you've seen Jeff Lynne with some blokes. And the only reason he's there in Hyde Park is because he tagged on to bloody Bob Dylan Roy Orbison and George Harrison's proper music legends, proper ones. Jeff Lynne's he's there, but he's partly there because he did that, and he only did that so he could produce that Beatles record. What was it called? Fly Like a Bird?
Free as a Bird.
Free as a Bird, yeah. And so he goes in and produces that.
Well,
I mean, what did he do?
He hadn't he produced? He did Cloud 9 for George Harrison. That was before the Wilburys, I think.
Yeah, because he's getting in.
That's how he got in.
He's getting his feet on his legs on the table.
And yes, and coming back to the Tom Petty, I never really got the Tom Petty thing. It never really.
How did he get in the Wilburys?
I presume because Jeff co-wrote and produced "Won't Back Down," which is Tom Petty's biggest track. You know, the one that goes on and on, the same thing all the way.
Why didn't they get Sheryl Crow? If I'd have been in that position, I would have got Sheryl Crow in.
Yeah.
Because she's just
Better.
more attractive.
Oh, but that too.
I don't want to be petty.
That's an album as well, isn't it? That Tuesday Night Music Club.
Yeah, but she ripped off that other bloke, didn't she? She was anger on, wasn't she? With that bloke who died because he did the older Hutchins.
No, was it?
Kevin
No,
Gilbert, was it? Or was it the other one?
Billy
Joe Spears? No, that's the bloke out of
I can't remember.
Green Day, isn't it?
That's Billy Joe Armstrong. I don't know who these people are. I don't know names.
Don't say that when we were doing a music YouTube. You're supposed to know about things. That was good though. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was multi-layered, and I know he's dead. Who's dead in the Wilburys? Orbison and Petty, isn't it? You wouldn't have expected that.
No, not Dylan.
Dylan's still around.
Orbison,
Petty,
George Harrison.
George Harrison. So all that's left is Lynn and Dylan.
Yeah.
Don't like either. Right, so who have I got next? Right, Linkin Park is the next on the list. Don't like them.
I don't really. I mean, no. Again, it's. I think I don't dislike them. There's a couple of things where it's like Chester Bennington. Like his voice is incredible.
No, it's not.
What?
It's terrible.
Oh, no. Right. I need to show you a clip after this.
They don't have to show me a clip.
There's a clip. That
I've stood 6 foot in front of him when he's singing.
Okay. Good for you. Good for you.
I've heard him up close. Chester Bennington.
Was it not very good? I was just talking because there's a clip where he does this massive, long, it's like a 20-second scream.
I can do 20 seconds to get your timer.
Straight out of it. And then go straight into this like soft vocal again. It's
I'll do it now. Get your timer.
Don't want you to do it now because it's going to do my head. So,
what you mean? Me screaming for 20 minutes is going to do your head
20 minutes? Yes, almost certainly.
I'll do it in the video edit.
No,
I would have made that work in the video edit. I would have got Chester Bennington and I would have dubbed it over the top.
Yeah, you would have.
Now you wish I hadn't done it now, do you? So that was my plan.
It's too long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too late. Would have given the game away. I was thinking ahead, and I thought that would have been a great comedy moment. But I've explained it anyway. Right, Linkin Park, they really personify moany, privileged adolescent metal.
Yeah,
laying the groundwork for emo, which we're going to get on in a minute.
Yeah,
right. Linkin Park represent that, right? And that's one thing. Right now, many years ago, I went to see Chris Cornell. And Chris Cornell came out and I pushed her all the way down to the front row with my wife. Mm-hmm. She was pregnant at the time, so I was really panicking because she'd got the bump. And everyone, it's the worst place to go when you're pregnant. There's a bigger. But it was okay. They weren't being too rowdy, but we were right down the front.
Was it Chris Cornell or Soundgarden?
Chris Cornell solo.
Right,
London, right? And he said, I'm going to bring out a guest. And he brought out Chester Bennington, right? And they started singing. And Chester Bennington was trying so hard. But next to Chris Cornell, it just sounded like...
Yeah, I mean...
It was like... I don't know, it's like when you go walking a small dog, and you're walking at normal speed, but the dog's going like that. That's what he was like.
I mean,
now, I don't want to believe they're both
dead,
But even with the death bit, we got to be careful what we say on here. But Chris Cornell, he does what he does, right? Then a few months later, Chester Bennington, like the little dog, well, I'll do that, I can do that, Chris. That's dark humour,
That
isn't
is
it?
pretty dark. Will you get away with that?
Don't know. I can't help it, Rob. It's like my brain works on that level of going, even at that time, they're like, they're not Soundgarden, basically.
No,
they're not,
no.
They're like this second wave that tried to take the Nirvana. You know, Chris Cornell is it's really angst-ridden. And Linkin Park, I know he is because of, you know, I mean, if we get serious, I won't say much more than this, but I think him and Chris Cornell were onto something. Let us say.
Yeah,
but this is another video. I'd love to do videos on this stuff. You know, I'm interested in all
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories in rock. Shall I do the top 10 conspiracy theories in rock?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Do you think that the way I've moved away from the original dark, I'm gonna have to edit that bit out.
Nah.
If I chicken out, I'll leave this bit in, and all I can say to you, there was a bit that was so dark that I've had to edit it out.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh.
Let's move on then.
Should we move on?
So the next on the list, which is number 4, I got 2 bands here because I can't tell them apart. Evanescence or Paramore. Doesn't matter which one it is because I don't actually know what the difference is between them. This is, again, moving on from Linkin Park. There's only one thing worse than Linkin Park, and it's Linkin Park with a woman up front singing. Some dark-haired, loads of eye makeup woman. I don't know what she looks like, either of them. Is it the same person in Paramore?
No, it's not at all.
Now, Rob was involved in this project. Many years ago, I got involved in a project which was like a heavy rock project, right? And we got into a band meeting, and this meeting, let's say, it all went really wrong because I was doing my drumming, and I think this is why I hate these 2 bands. I was doing my drumming on it, and then we were sending it over to the rest of the band, and the rest of the band were rejecting my drumming because it didn't sound programmed enough, isn't it? Rob was doing it for me. That is the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
because I had to do loads of editing.
Yeah, you were like quantizing my drums,
because we were saying that the big selling point was going to be this is like a prog metal band, but with real drums.
Yeah, it's like we have this mad concept of doing a modern metal album where people actually played on it, and it just didn't go down well, right? So we'll get to this thing, and I said to them in this meeting, I said, what do you actually want it to sound like? What do you want my drums to sound like? And they turned around and said, like Evanescence or Paramore. And I said, if I ever make a record that sounds like Evanescence or Paramore, I will have to smash my hands with a hammer so I can never drum again. I don't know what I said, but I basically said I didn't want to be involved. And at that point, the whole project fell apart. Evanescence and Paramore, for me, represent something that is so terrible in rock music. Now, do you like these bands?
No, I am going to half agree and half
because you like one.
Yes.
Because is there a difference between
there is
them?
a difference.
Well,
difference.
Explain it to them. Go on, then.
Well, first of all, Evanescence has got that. They've got that. The guy that does the white man rock rapping, which is like what Linkin Park does.
That sounds like the worst.
So it's like there's always this play off.
I know they do it, but
and that is why I don't like Evanescence at all. But Paramore, I actually really like, and one of the things I actually do like about Paramore is especially if you listen to what their first stuff was like, which is very sort of that pop punk kind of thing, to what it is more recently. There's a lot more. There's like an electronic thing in there and stuff. So the fact that they've actually gone through and changed and done and sort of modernised is what I like. But also, I think the writing is actually actually really
like
interesting.
them so much, we'll do a tribute band to them.
All right,
Paraless.
Yeah, good one. Yeah,
Paralytic.
That's also good.
Parachutes.
Paralyzed.
Parachute. Paralyzed.
Paralyzed.
Paralive. Paralive. See if it's moved a bit back from Paramore.
And
Paramore.
But also, and I will do the same thing again. I will educate you. I'll give you a few tracks you listen to, and I think you'll appreciate.
Do you think if I actually
the writing and the production? I think on some of the stuff, I think you will.
I'm open to this because I can't tell them apart. I know.
For me, there's a massive difference because Evanescence is that emo-y, whiny thing, but and I think you might be confusing because the singer from Paramore doesn't have dark hair at all.
What colour hair she got?
She's got she dyes it bright red or it's blonde or I think it's blonde.
I just thought that was the same woman just dyeing her hair different colours like women can do with their hair. Admin if they wanted to. I'm out of my depth on this one, aren't I?
Well, I mean,
I'm hoping you.
I could play you some songs and you'll go, yeah, that's who I thought was Evanescence. You could, I mean, but
well, go on then, and I'll pause the video so we don't get copyright
strike.
So Rob's going to play me a song by Paramore, Paranoid, and then I'll cut this bit out.
Okay.
And so we don't get a copyright strike. What's the name of the song, Rob?
Yeah, there's a few. So
yeah, it's always when you're trying to sell a band someone, you got to pick that song and you go, that one's a. What do they like? What
this
do I
is.
like?
I mean, this is from 8 years ago. So this is like.
Don't talk while it's on.
So it's there. You go.
So Rob's just playing some Paramore. They're bloody brilliant, and I really like them.
You don't have to just say that. It's
no, I do though.
I do think
they're more like No Doubt or the Cardigans. What have I got? I've got the wrong end of the stick, haven't I? With Paramore.
Maybe.
I think I've heard probably a track 20 years ago by them and just thought, oh God, that's another band like Evanescence.
So if you're probably thinking of the big one that was from years ago is Misery Business, which was a really pop punky kind of thing, but they've just gone more. It's a little like the stuff I just played.
That's brilliant stuff.
Like
really
electro
good.
pop.
Yeah, really good production, great songwriting. Good singing, catchy stuff, nice sort of stuff I like in a pop way.
But Evanescence is a bit more.
Well, I've got an open. It proves I've got an open mind. Yeah, forget Scrub Paramore. I had 2 on the list anyway. You never know. I might just add it on that just to have this bit of make me look like I'm more open-minded.
This is like the plan.
Right, at number 3. Sorry, I have Muse. Now, I tell you something about Muse. Okay. Some of the later stuff, which nobody seems to like when they're a bit funkier, that sort of stuff, and they're like. What's that other band that you like?
That other band.
Oh, what they called?
Radiohead.
No, American band.
That are like Muse.
Yeah, but funkier. But they're a rock band. Really good band, actually. I should get you on to talk about. You should do a top 10 of this band because they are really good. And I know nothing about them.
Funky. A funky Chili Peppers.
They got a singer with black hair.
That's not helping me.
Oh,
Incubus.
Incubus.
Yes.
Right. Later on, Muse do something I heard an album which was a bit like Incubus, who I do like. I don't know much about them, but Incubus are a cool band. But the famous thing where it's all like that sort of harmonic minor type thing and all the sort of that bit and him going. I can't stick it, and I don't know why. I don't object to them, right?
Yeah.
I don't object to them. They are posh boys, obviously, but I don't. They're not pretending not to be posh boys. They're like Radiohead. They're making the sort of music I expect a posh boy to do, not levelers.
Yeah,
like they're making
this
proper
classical, he's classically trained piano, and then
yeah. I feel like he's walked out into his orangery in the morning, I've been walking around that and going, I think he's got a ruffle on, that's what I imagine Muse to be like, down at that place where they've got the
orangery.
No, it's like a modern posh orangery that they have what's it called, the Capcot Centre, Eden Project. Well, those things that
because they're from Cornwall or Devon or brilliant.
Right, so let me try and get what I'm trying to say to you because this is absolute rubbish. There was an architect, and he makes those domes, and they're made out of triangles, and they got one at the Eden Centre.
Yeah,
that bloke.
Hoberman? Wasn't
that? No. Ornette Coleman was a massive fan of him.
I don't know.
Anyway, I should like it, but I just don't. I just find it overblown, unemotional. Like, I find it a bit pretentious. Like, I just Muse. I really don't like them at all.
I can see why you don't. I quite like them. I've got a couple of albums, and I've seen them live, and they are it's a 3-piece, and for them to do that like live is pretty great.
Don't you think that Matt Bellamy's
musicianship?
He's a bit of a nepo baby, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, we know his dad was.
Don't say
David Bellamy.
It's not David Bellamy. Is it? You're going to tell me it's David Bellamy, he talked like that, didn't he?
Actually, I might have just assumed this without actually.
You might be right. Do I need to check this?
I'm warning you up, Rob. I know exactly who the son. He's the son.
I have heard that.
Of one of the guys out. I think the Tornadoes of some early 60s.
Right, okay.
They did Telstar. Check who he is. Come on, but let's work it out.
I have to look now.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. All it shows is where he gets his musicality from. I can't explain this. Who's his dad? You
can find this out, and then it's like early life.
Tornadoes was right.
George Bellamy was from the Tornadoes.
Now, the keyboardist of the Tornadoes is a man called Roger Laverne. Click on the Tornadoes. Yeah, see. You go down to the lineup. The Tornadoes were basically like a bit like they're an interesting band actually, because I don't want to talk about Muse. But the Tornadoes, Roger Laverne, Clem Cattini, Heinz Burt, who was like one of the early pop stars, and George Bellamy. Now, Clem Cattini is the most recorded drummer in British history. He's had more number ones than anybody else, drumming on High O Civilizing for Jeff Beck.
Right.
I next met Clem. Roger Laverne was literally born just up the road here.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's from Kidderminster, from our town. He was come from it. Heinz Burt, they used to all hang out in this town. And so George Bellamy has most likely been up here, and he was also linked in. If you look down, if you look at he was linked into Marty Wilde and Billy Fury and all those guys that my father-in-law was
also look at that Screaming Autumn,
which are our other friend play. So yes, he's the son of George Bellamy.
Well, there we go. So
and Tornadoes are great. I think they were produced by Joe Meek.
Yes.
Yeah. So Joe Meek was like this sort of our British Brian Wilson, better than Brian Wilson though. But he died, didn't he? Because he tried to kill someone else.
Did he?
Yeah, Joe Meek. He has a really bad ending.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These
I went dark again.
I might have to. I'm working on I've got something coming together out of this video, and it's like the 10 in rock and roll's darkest stories. But I don't want to get into that bloke out of Lost Prophets.
No,
I don't even like talking about
that.
It.
Doesn't need saying. They're not on your list, are they? Because they would be on my list as well.
Yeah, I haven't got them on me. Yeah, Muse.
But yeah, I
wish I did.
I do quite like Muse, but I think actually earlier on, I think it's one of those things. I think it was quite fresh when this sort of, this sort of classical, proper. I mean, because prog obviously has a lot of classical sort of elements in it, but this sort of classical merging into that, I think it was good and it popularised it, and then it has become a little bit more.
I mean, if I keep talking about it, I think the reason I've got me here is because on paper I really do like them. I like the fact that they're a massive band, and they are a prog band. I like the fact that they've been able to make albums that sold millions and millions, but is really out there music, and the whole idea of it I like. I don't know why I don't like it. I don't know. Anyway, at number 2 on my list, I have Steel Panther. Now, Steel Panther are like this joke of 80s hair metal band, right? Steel Panther is a joke of that. And they do these songs. The song lyrics are really, really offensive, right? Really offensive. Now, I've got to be honest, when I listen to them, the actual riffage is quite good.
Yeah,
the actual rock bit
it's
it's not that. But there's something that really sticks in my throat about them. And what I think is it's like, when you've got an idiot. We have them in the comments here. I'll do something as a joke, and then they have to say the joke
Yeah.
You know, and they say the joke and they
You're
think
like, oh.
that they're being funny by explaining the joke. I find that really, really annoying.
Because sometimes you can't tell whether or not they think that they're the clever one, and they're educating everybody else because nobody else has obviously got this joke where everybody else has, or whether they just feel like they have to sort of be part of it and just explain it anyway, even though I don't.
Yeah.
I never quite know where people
But on the other side, the cool thing is to not say the joke. The cool thing is just to not say.
Yeah.
So when you listen, if you listen to Poison or Winger or Motley Crue or David Lee Roth band in the 80s, Van Halen, all those bands, you know, even Kiss, if you've got that on the car and you're enjoying it, part of you is enjoying the sort of postmodernist thing of knowing that there is something good in the music here, but it's also really misogynistic, cheesy nonsense.
But it's done ironically.
Yeah. And so when you listen to some of the lyrics of those bands, you know that they are not being explicit in what they're doing, and so the lyrics are funny because of that, because they've got double entendres in, or they got these, you know. So Whitesnake, Slide It In, you know, Kiss, Lick It Up, you know, those types of lyrics.
Yeah, there's nuance and there's metaphor, isn't there? But
you know, it's like when Rainbow come out and they do All Night Long, which is a staple that's on the radio, probably on the radio when we leave here, and he goes, you know, and he says lines like, "You're only young, but you're overage," and then he says, "I don't care because I like your smile. I don't care about your brains because you look all right." Yeah. That's the actual lyrics to all that. And when you go through that, you go, "Oh my God." Well, what I don't need is some band later on spoofing something that doesn't need to be spoofed.
It's all it's like Spinal Tap, but
the Darkness do it. The Darkness
do it well because it doesn't cross that line, does it? Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So I think Steel Panther, it's for people who want to do that, or you know, it's like there's a certain it's unsubtle rubbish, and it's like low hanging fruit, and it's just not sophisticated. It's not sophisticated humour. It's American humour. If British people were to do a spoof, which they did know, it's called Bad News, right? But Spinal Tap is sophisticated because Spinal Tap is no worse. They don't do anything. I mean, if you take the sequence in Spinal Tap when Derek Small comes out and he's trapped in that pod and they have to get all the gas things out and they're trying to get him out of the pod, and then when he gets out then it shuts and he's got one arm and then he has to do that, right? That, you think, well, that's really ridiculous. But there are people around that did silly things like that in the rock and roll era.
Do you want me to give you? I've got an anecdote for you.
Go on then.
So ELO's big the big spaceship tour. They got this big. Well, it was at Wembley. They were there for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. So there's this big spaceship, and it opens up to reveal the band at the start. But as it opens up, the band came out of rising platforms. And one of the nights, my dad's platform didn't rise.
I know this story.
You know this story.
I fed it to Rob.
And is that what you were doing?
Yeah, that's what I did there. Yeah.
And so he ended up having to basically, he's put his bass. He was the shortest man not in the band in the world. And so,
Warwick Davis?
Well, yeah, he's just bigger than Warwick Davis. And so he
played the dwarf
in the Stone Age climb up out of this thing. He was. And actually, because his platform didn't. Yeah, so
did they pull him up by his moustache?
Probably, yeah. It wasn't that long before. So yeah. So these things happen, you know. But
another great video would be the actual events that Spinal Tap's based on, and that sequence with the pods is. Some people think it's based upon Yes's tour where they had these big plastic pods, which look very Yes-like, but the actual being trapped inside it was your dad, wasn't it?
Well, that's what some people have said. So, but
brilliant, isn't it? That was a good climax to the video, but we're not there yet.
Haven't we? Are we on number 2?
We're on number 1 now.
Wasn't that? Oh, I said we there.
That was number 2.
The other thing is, what is it? That Towers of London, which is the British punk band that feel like they're a joke, but they are serious, and they think that what they're doing is like
Yeah,
he's really proper.
If Steel Panther
And
are
it's that
really
guy
seriously doing
he was on
it,
the
yeah.
on the Nevermind the Buzzcocks thing when he's properly trying to be, he's trying to be really sort of edgy, but Simon Amstel, when he was presenting it, he was just walking all over him with it because it was just so ridiculous. But that's that same kind of, it's like, hey, do you realise how this doesn't look like,
Yeah, I mean,
you know what you're doing? But yeah,
it's like, I mean, I love the Weird Al Yankovic film. I think it's one of the best rock biopics I've ever seen in my life. It's so funny. But his parodies, where he takes Beat It and then he does Eat It, I just think they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible.
But they are. It's
But
like
they are parodies.
purposefully. Yeah.
And there's a charm to that. But with Steel Panther, it just doesn't seem to work. And I think it's just an excuse for people to listen. What's the time?
It's 2:30.
Half past what?
2.
2:30.
Yeah, we have to wrap this up very soon.
We're on the last one now. Then, so the last one.
You know the last one.
Yeah, I know the last one because it is number one. None of these. This wasn't in ranked order. It's sort of one, but number one is a band I absolutely hate. And this band have been around for a long time. They are genius songwriters, I would say. They've really done some musical achievements. They came out of the American indie scene in the 1980s, and then they went on to get one of the biggest albums of the 90s. And I know they're good. But I don't like them. And it is REM. Don't like REM. And it's the same. They're like, you know what I said about Manic Street Preachers? Imagine that times 10. Because they seem like college kids, right? They seem like they can't rock. Okay, so they have to cover. There's a sort of pretentiousness to being in a rock band and getting the kudos of a rock band with 3 chords, and you can't rock. I don't mind 3 chords when you can rock. AC/DC can rock. They're not AC/DC, REM. And the thing is the reason why people think they're good is because the lyrical content, which is all touchy-feely, but worse than this, there's that element of Americana in there. So they think because they've stuck a banjo over something, that people think that banjos are waistcoats. And then it's Michael Stipe's dancing and the way he sings and that nasally voice. I just can't stand them. Absolutely. And I don't know what people like about them at all. I really cannot see what's so good. I mean, name one of their famous songs.
Losing My Religion.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's all very whiny. I mean,
the only one I like is the one they did with B-52's woman. Because B-52...
I don't know.
Shiny Happy People. I like that one. That shows you I can like them. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the B-52s, but she being there just lives it up. And they're being postmodern and ironic. But again, when the B-52s, that is postmodern and ironic. That is, they're just rejoicing in 1960s schlock. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whereas then they come on and they go, shiny happy people. And you think, you don't mean that, do you, Mr. Stipe? No, you don't.
It's sort of...
and he looks so old now as well.
It's like, it's Sugar. He always did that, didn't he?
I know.
He always looked like he was 60 for...
Yeah, and you know why? Because he's not a proper rock star. Proper rock stars should have their hair long when they're 80 years old, still be dyeing it brown, you know what I'm saying? Or have a wig. I want my rock stars to deliver, not be look like some bloody, humanities teacher, which is what they all look like.
Yeah. It's all very...
I'll persuade you on this one, haven't I?
No, well, yeah, I've never been a big REM fan. Although, again, it's like you hear things... What is it? There's like Man in the Moon. It's another whiny sort of...
It's not whiny.
End of the World.
Oh, I don't like that one.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Anything that goes... And that
because that's that American thing.
It's like Simon and Garfunkel. They do what's the name, Mrs. Robinson. Similar. This is way better.
Yeah.
Or even and that's where that's coming out of. The Man in the Moon's quite good. I know the songwriter's good.
But this is the thing. It's like, and you're right. You're right. That's about what's his face in
Andy Kaufman, who I love so much.
So it's quite
and it's very good. That's a great song because nobody writes a song, and this is how mad this video is.
Because I can't.
Yeah,
stick them.
I could do a whole video on
but-
the Man in the Moon is a work of genius, because very few songwriters could write a song about a comedian who was very, very funny, very abstract, but also died really young. So it's happy and sad, and also list all the things he did. So you actually have an idea of what Andy Kaufman did. And actually, he does an Elvis impersonation in the song as part of the songwriting. It's proper genius. No, they're not. They're good, aren't they? I knew it when I put them down. I knew that my objectivity would not be able to get over the fact that I just hate studenty state stargazer 3-chord Americana type bands.
Also, but here's the thing. Then, is there a place in your videos where you could do one where it's like bands that you hate, although there's one song you really like, because there's probably quite a few bands that we can all say, oh, I don't like that band. And the other way around as well, like bands that you love, except there's a song that you absolutely hate.
I've tried to get these lists up and I can never get 10. And you're even more OCD than me,
God,
so that's you will go. That's out there. You know, imagine you got 9.
9.
God. That happens to me all the time. You know, I've got up to 9. I'm going. I just need one more. Come on, just one more. Come on, and then you can't think of one. But what you don't understand is I am not. Yeah. I am not Encyclopedia Britannica. When I come up with these lists, it's not like I know the answers to it. Let's go watch Andy's video tomorrow. Why? He's doing the 10 worst bands of all time. Oh, well, he would know because he's Encyclopedia Britannica of rock and whatever he says the case. And then they watch it and go, well, it's not the case. He got that wrong. Of course I got it bloody wrong. What are you watching? Question it. Really think about it. R.E.M. I put as number 1. This morning I hated them. Now I've just thought they're bloody geniuses because I just ran Man in the Moon in my mind and went, oh my God, it's amazing. Because the truth is about musicians, and this is what the general public don't understand, I can love music and know it's crap, and I can hate music but know it's genius. Can you lot do that? Can non-musicians do that? You could do that, can't you? You know, we could stick. You know, it's like I tell you when I realised this. Ronan Keating put a song out once. It wasn't "Love Is a Roller Coaster." It was like a country song,
right?
About missing someone. When you think nothing at all, you know that one.
Yeah. You say it best. Yeah.
I think it might be that. Anyway, I hate that song. I hate Ronan Keating's whiny voice. He can't bloody sing. He doesn't write his own songs. He's got no bloody talent. You know, in a couple of years' time, when I'm a massive YouTuber, and I won't be able to do this anymore. And then I'll probably have to get a slave, probably you, Rob, to go through all the videos. There's 1,000 there. Could just go through them all and see if I said anything dodgy when nobody was really watching it properly.
Yeah.
So make a note of them. He's not a wife beater.
And this is
I'm just trying to make you laugh by just coming up with things and you put in place and things in mind. You've got to go now, haven't you?
You've got to go? Have you got to go?
No, not quite yet.
I've got to go.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please put a like on it. If you like these with Rob and someone to... Because the thing is that you get genuine laughs. If you don't like Rob, you can put that in the comments. Yeah. You know, is he worth his position on my channel, or are we just talking, you know, failed Nepo baby? It's one of the two. Put it in the comments.
You know what? Now I'm not going to do my REM joke at the end of that, which was...
Oh, please, we need to finish with the joke.
It's the end of the vid as we know it.
Keep singing it.
Terrible. And I feel fine. What?
Let's do it
properly. Oh, that's all that... That's... Well... Are you going to play... You're going to... I don't know. It's the end... It's the end of the vid as we know it. It's the end of the vid as we know it. It's the end of the vid as we know it, and I feel fine. I feel fine.
Don't speak! There you go, that was a brilliant one.
That was all right.
Oh, I haven't stopped it, they'll hear that at the end.
Oh no.
Because it's saying low battery.